what a tough act to follow that one was. Getting in towards game number 2 of the day, we do have Chiefs taking on Peace. So Peace, of course, being the runners-up, coming in from Split 1. I'm excited to see what they're going to bring to the table for Split 2 because they have a big roster swap, Rusty.
Yeah, I mean, they absolutely do. Peace is obviously the first place where we want to start any conversation right now looking at that roster change, and that is Big Bips coming in. Babip for Peace is going to be the starting jungler today as well, while Lisa is still on the squad. He's going to be in the background as a substitute for this game. Now, Babip, massive history in Oceania, and one thing to highlight is that he is a world's representative back-to-back, 2019, 2020, I believe, with Mammoth and Legacy, respectively. He has been playing League competitively 5 years. If you're an Oceanic League fan, you probably have heard his name. For all of those that are just joining us, played with Fudge, played with King, both competing in the LCS over in North America right now. And he did hold his own with both of those players. In his own right, definitely shown to be a star jungler. And joining the roster that finished second, and had a lot of potential for improvement that we said Split 2 could compete with PGG. Well, I mean, this is a big boon for their strength.
Yeah, I mean, it's a marquee signing, right? To basically say we mean business, that, it was a close affair in those grand finals. That could have been us going to MSI and, finding all the levels of success that we know that Pentanet went on to go and get. So, especially Peace saying that, hey, look, we know the areas of strength that we have. We're not going to change too much. We're not going to upset the apple cart, as you'd say, right? But we're going to bring in Babip. If he's coming back to O's, if he's going to be a free agent, we're going to nab him. We're going to ensure that we find, the strongest roster once again, and sort of, match the power and continue to be, this team in that top 1, top 2 discussion.
Now, another team that may be in the top 3 or 4 discussion is going to be the Chiefs. Let's see what they bring to the table in Split 2. Let's see if they are going to be able to make it to that second, maybe first slot, if they have managed to improve coming out of Split number 1. Now, of course, there's some very handsome gamers here on the squad. Rusty, who's my favorite?
To their jerseys.
I love it.
Or did they match their jerseys to their hair? Because I feel like we've lived with this hair for quite a while. Anyway, we look at the squad.
It's the real conversation.
So on a tangent.
Good tangent.
It stands out to me because their hair has actually changed, but the players haven't at all. And Boma, someone who came into his own in the end parts of the first split, something like the Ezreal, which is now one of the best champions. You've got Dragku playing those tanky champions. 100% is the meta right now for the support role. Or the Enchanters, has the Soraka. Dragku, definitely having a good time. And you've got Swaith, who is my wildcard skimmy. I'm not sure how he will adapt to this meta.
Yeah, I'm interested too. We had the rumblings of, Hecarim continuing to sort of stick around. We know that he was a proficient Kayn player, that at any opportunity he would lock that one in as well. So you talk about a gank-heavy meta. I think he's going to be looking to try and go for those gank-heavy style junglers once again and say, look, if that's the way you want us to play, then fantastic. It suits my needs. We saw time and time again that teams would say, look, we know you're a carry jungler, so we'll bully you, we'll focus you. If you get behind, your whole team collapses as a result. So it's going to be interesting to see if Swaith, double downs on his ideas, his guns, I suppose you'd say, right? On, this is who I am, this is what I've done for all my career, this is what I'm going to stick at.
Well, let's see if that is the case. Of course, we do have to bring Nat back into the conversation because she has 2 handsome gamers down on the side lanes. Nat, who are we going to have a chat to before game 2 of the day?
I have roped in Boma and Halo to join me for a little bit of a quick discussion. Thank you guys so much for joining me. Boma, I want to ask you guys, how is the atmosphere in the team? I mean, last time you faced Peace was in the semi-finals of Split 1 and you just happened to fall short of winning. So how are you feeling coming up against the first game in Split 2? And I see you two giggling like school kids over there.
Yeah. We're hungry for revenge. We want to beat them. I think when we played them last time in playoffs, we were pretty tired from playing the Order Series and the Direwolf Series. So this time we've had a lot of rest and we've been spamming scrims and mostly solo queue in the off season. So we're ready to take on Peace.
Speaking of season, what have you guys been focusing on during that time?
I think mostly our team play, and I think a lot of things we've been working on, like from last split, like we've been having a lot more flexibility in draft, because last split was pretty short, so we didn't get to try a lot of things. We kind of just played like whatever was OP, but this split we've tried a lot of different things, so I think we have a wider range of strategies this split, I think.
I'm looking forward to seeing it. Halo, you guys have had a roster change since you last came up against Chiefs. How has the transition been, and do you think it's going to give you guys more of an advantage to beat them?
I think our roster change has been pretty good for us. Our scrims are a lot more productive with Babip. He's like a veteran player, knows a lot about the game, and we're learning quite a bit from him. I think it's all around a pretty good upgrade just for the environment as well, so we should be a whole other beast coming to Split 2.
I'm looking forward to it. And the same sort of question, what were your main focuses over break for you guys?
I'd say Babip just helped us shore up concepts that we like sort of knew, but he sort of made us fine-tune them and really get into the science of League and understand the game more on a deeper level. We sort of were at the surface level on some concepts, and he helped us break them down and actually understand them completely.
That sounds like it has been extremely beneficial for you guys. I hope to see it come out in this game, and I want to wish you both the best of luck, and thank you so much for joining me today.
Thanks, Art.
Oh, there you go. So it sounds like Peace are going to be coming into this split playing chess with that extreme amount of knowledge brought back. That's something that I completely overlooked as well, thinking about this matchup is, or even just the acquisition of Babip, is just the amount of knowledge that he can bring back, not only to Peace as a team, but the scene, and then also just the mental game. That's something that we heard that Peace struggled with in Split 1, was sometimes, you know, losing the mental battle. And Babip coming in, he's just going to be like, boys, look, come on, pull yourselves together, we're winning this, and is maybe the key piece of the puzzle that Peace is needed. So, that being said, let's put our money where our mouths are. Where have we gone with our predictions? Rusty, I'll throw over to you first here.
I mean, I would be shocked if someone here didn't go Peace. So if they did, feel free to raise your hand and I'll stop talking, because I've gone for Peace. 100%, I think with the addition of Babip, they're only improved. The points that you raise, and of course that Halo mentioned, are obviously very important. So I have full faith in the unshakable mental and brilliance of the BIP as he comes in.
Brilliance of the BIP. Now, let's bring up the graphic as well, have a look at what the other boys as well went with their prediction. You got Jubes and Elfish Guy also with Peace, and they're not here. So I dare say we're on the clean sweep because no one else put up their hands. I was very close to going for Chiefs solely because my boy Dragku is there on the team. But that wasn't enough to sway me. I went with my brain this time. It's the start of the season. We're going underdog picks as soon as I start to get on the back foot and committing again. So that's exactly how it's going to be. I'll end up at some point on the 100-0 scoreline from, you know, that the one pick I get, which is out of nowhere, and I get a multitude of points for it. Anyway, Skimmy, talk us through your thought process going into this match.
Yeah, I mean, for me, I think it's a case, once again, of Appy pretty much playing any champion and playing it really, really well. So you've already got a consistent factor in the top lane that will do anything that is required of him. Also, you've got the upgrade in Babip, which, you know, speaks for itself. Halo's always being one that's drawn attention towards him in the mid lane, but when he knows he needs to, he will pick up the pieces and he will pop off and carry. The main one for me, which is obvious to many, I'm sure, is the fact that Violet is just an absolute monster. I call him a bit of an achievement hunter because he got, like, multiple accolades of last season. Best farm, most multi-kills, highest KDA, most times he got single kills in the game. Like, he's pretty much farming up, you know, achievements as if he's like, you know, Ronaldo or Messi or something, right? So, like, this guy he's like the peak AD carry, looking to really try and bring it to Praetor and say, look, sure, you know, you're insane in your own right, but there's a reason why we're the two top dogs. And
quickly, Nat, you've got about 5 seconds to sum up why you went for Peace in this prediction.
Just because I didn't want to go Chiefs. I said it.
Well, okay.
Got him.
Dragku, how you feel about that? I'm sure we'll see that one on Twitter later. But for now, ladies and gentlemen, it is time to get into match number 2 of the day.
There we go, Rusty. Cracking on in with what should be a very interesting insight into the inner workings of both these teams. We talked about it before, the fact that Chiefs and Peace went head-to-head in the semi-finals of last Split's playoffs. So with that in mind, and what Inboma reference of, you know, a bit of exhaustion, having played multiple bangers after bangers, they came into Peace and said, look, you know, we just ran out of steam by that point. I'm interested to see with this off-season break whether or not these teams have managed to retain that level of play, or if they need a little bit of time to, you know, up the ante once more.
I mean, yeah, look, when Mboma says he's had a bit of a break between, you know, the last games, which were best of 5s that he lost, of course, to Peace, and this one, it has been months, and it is a best of 1. So if he's not rested now, he'll never be rested. The question, of course, comes in as to how much have they improved, not necessarily how rested are they.
Sure.
Looking at these bans so far as well, Skimmy, we've seen 2 bans from the Chiefs on the blue side that were picks last game on the red side in the Xin Zhao, and the Varus, of course, for Legacy on the blue side last game. So 2 new champions will be seen this time around as a minimum. And pretty standard otherwise, you know, with the Senna gone, Senna Time Kench is obnoxious. I would imagine Chiefs love that. And Renekton permaban.
I think it's going to stay that way for the most part here. We know that he loves to play Lived, a ton of Scion as well as the Ornn if he's not able to play the Renekton. No surprises there. When you think about who loves to play Ezreal in the region, Mboma has the most games out of anybody from Split #1. So he's in paradise. He's been left to the wolves a few times with Drag, who goes roaming, loves to play those engaged supports and likes to assist elsewhere. And as we saw from last game, a champion like an Ezreal is fantastic at holding its own.
And Karma's clearly a good champion right now. This is 2 games where the priority on it has been insanely high. First game, of course, it did go to the support role, and it did its job pretty well overall. I wouldn't say the loss was attributed to the Karma by any means. So we're going to see another one of these again. You could say that it is a flexible champion. I know that Appy loves to be a support for his junglers. It's something that he has said before in an interview. But right now, you would assume, of course, that it's going to be him playing Set, and it's going to be Karma down in bot lane for Alador.
Seem to be that way right now. We know that Alador has a few interesting champions in the support role that maybe other players don't tend to go towards. Rakan being the most glaringly obvious one. He loves to go for the options that allow Violet to pop off, protect him, and allow him to pretty much have all the freedom in the world for it. Hence why we've got ourselves a Lee Sin for a little bit of displacement to make sure that if they can find avenues off flank, then a pick target is easily accessible.
You'd expect the jungler here. It could be a support, however, given that there's a Karma on the other side. The interesting thing about this is, and I was going to mention it, is Nocturne's often picked into Lee Sin as a really good lane. You can flex the champion then, of course, between lanes. But if you think back to last split of the LCO, Kisei was actually a Nocturne player. So now, you know, it's become more and more prevalent with time. He's always been a Nocturne player, so why not give him that opportunity? The interesting point from here is, you know, what is going to be played in the jungle role? Is it a Nocturne or a Lee Sin that could both flex there, or is it something like a Rumble? Because they still need magic damage on their top side of the map.
Certainly do. It begs the question where that'll come from, as we have seen supportive picks. We mentioned before the Enchanters, obviously not the most glaringly obvious in terms of amplifying your AP threat, but we have seen that Enchanters can be locked in if need be. Galio support being another one to consider as well, to make sure they can dive in and guarantee the kill comes across. Nocturne, a comfort pick here for Kisei amongst a plethora of champions that he has played. Most notably, I remember the game into the Yone, where he just ran rampant. They had an Evelyn jungle in that game, where Swaith is now being banned once again in this series here. And no surprises, Lulu, Kog'Maw, or Lulu Karma. Karma and Kog'Maw. That'd be an interesting one.
Lulu Karma, damn.
Kog'Maw has to be removed because Violet does have the mechanics to make it work.
Yeah, and so far, Peace's comp still actually works well with no Kog'Maw type of composition, however, right? Like Udyr and Set both need to be able to walk faster than you to close distance. Karma does actually complement that one quite nicely. So right now, you know, you see the Evelyn, the target ban away from Swaith. They're going to get rid of Silas, just some extra magic damage that could go into one of those solo lanes if they're going to flex the Nocturne perhaps to the jungle role. Swaith does play Nocturne, so that's one thing to consider here. And just looking at what magic damage would exist, I wouldn't like to see something like a Yone picked 4th by Peace. I would like to see Halo pick something like a Mage, something that could handle a Zoe perhaps, right? Just in case that Nocturne is a flex.
Yeah, we date our minds back to what he's played most prevalently. His top 3 actually were the Orianna, Syndra, as well as the Victor, so all about the control mage angles. Making sure that he's able to dish out that component that you just mentioned. Another pick towards the AD carries, no surprises there. Remove the Kaiser, it was Violet's second most played. Xayah was actually the most across both regular split as well as playoffs. But he might be opting against that altogether. No mobility, just passive resets to fund and fuel that movement speed.
Yeah, I mean, there's just a bunch of fridges standing in front of Violet. That's the comp right now, front to back. Get the Jinx resets and pop off in team fights. Chiefs are currently designed in a way to kind of circumvent that. They go past the front line, they flank, they Nocturne ultimate and fly over the top of it and try and get onto Violet. They could commit fully to a composition like that if they wanted. But they are committing to a composition like that because they want it. There you go.
They switch the lights off and a whole bunch of pain comes right at you with a Lee Sin as well as a Nocturne jumping on in and a Karthus. Well, no doubt to try and seal the deal there with his ultimate. Begs the question though, what will Dragku go for? Because you're thinking, do they need more engage? Do they need more backline protection? What are they going to look to try and assist here? Are they going to play the laning phase here with Mboma? And it seems to be that is the case as he's locked himself in with a Leona.
I think as much as he would have liked to have played a ranged champion to work with Mboma, Leona does make the most sense. The one thing that their comp really, really needed was engage. And this is one of the best champions to do exactly that. Right now, waiting for that last pick on the other side here for Peace. Seeing where the flexes go more than anything else. We said it's most likely going to be a Karma support, but that is not going to be the case here. It is going to be flexed towards what I would assume now is Halo mid, as he sees his matchup and knows that he's more safe to play that Karma. And they pick a more favorable, I will say, matchup for the bottom lane right now, because you've got Flay for the Leona Zenith Blade. So until level 6, it's really difficult to actually exist as Dragku in that 2v2. And if they feel even less safe, perhaps, then it could be switched to a cleanse for Violet.
Yeah, and it begs the question, are we going to continue to see this playstyle from Split 1 to 2 where Dragku does just go roaming, look to try and find power and presence elsewhere on the map, leave Mboma to his own devices, force Aladoric to try and make that split decision too. But there's a lot of protection. It does feel very much like the stereotypical Violet protect him composition. Sure, there's no Cogmore, but he's got shields, he's got a Lantern, and he's got hard engaged that allows him to just, lay down the damage and shoot from afar.
The Lantern's the other big thing here, actually, that complements their comp really well here. So Nocturne presses ult, turns the lights out. It's really hard to play a supportive champion for a carry then, right? Because you need to, first of all, communicate perfectly to know where things are happening.
Yeah.
But what you can do as a Thresh in that situation, just chuck a Lantern out, right? Like if the Nocturne goes on him, then you've actually already saved him even if you don't have vision. And you have a pretty good time overall.
Yeah, maybe just sit from afar, just wait for it to come on through, and guarantee that Lantern is your get a jail-free card. Seems to be that the scene has been set here for another showcasing of Ken Violet being Mr. Consistent once again. What will Babbitt's return be to O's look like, and what can Chiefs look to try and bounce back with a few new picks of their own, with a Lee Sin in mid lane, the rookie of the split in Kisei, looking to once again showcase that he has fingers, he's young, he's experienced, he's keen, and he's adept to showcase that he should be a player to keep your eyes on for years to come.
Certainly hoping he has fingers. Certainly hoping they're warmed up for this game. Right now, I would say no surprises across the board. Maybe Kisei playing the Lee Sin is the biggest surprise, Skimmy, but looking at the other side of the coin here, you've got to protect the Violet comp. You've got just let your carry be the carry, and surely in the off-season, he hasn't changed in his ability to carry on the Rift when it matters the most. Lots and lots of damage designed to pick him apart. A safe 80 carry in the Ezreal that can hit you from afar and just damage and dive. So Violet's going to have a pretty tough go at it, but at the same time, their comp's designed to protect him. So I do expect to see a lot of just posturing and front to back and vision control and denial to try and make that first step that you take be the best one.
Certainly plenty of ideas brewing between both of these teams to try and find that game-winning edge. And as I'm sure to the delight of many fans at home, we do have another coach interview, and this time with a fan favourite in Chiefs Kuden. Mate, welcome back to the show. It's been a long time since we've had you, but how have you been?
It was really good.
Talk to me.
Yeah.
Talk to me a little bit about some of this, this off-season brew. You've had this fantastic off-season, be it, with coming third overall. You've challenged all these teams. You've mentioned to us in previous interviews that, hey, look, we're continuing to ramp up. We're continuing to build. What did you do during the off-season?
I just did some boot camping in OS, We decided to stay home and boot camp in OS. Some bit of OS ranked solo queue here and there.
Did you guys get to have a nice break at least, or were you just straight back into it, hungry for success?
Nah, no breaks still.
No breaks, only hustle and grind.
No matter what. Whatever it takes.
I love to hear it. I love to hear it, mate. Hey, talk to me. So, I mentioned the fact that, you finished third overall. On a scale of 1 to 10, would you view that as a success? I mean, obviously everybody wants to win, but, if you look at that as it is, scale of 1 to 10, what number would you put that at?
9,000.
9,000. Huge power levels. Is that
probably feel good.
Does that coincide perhaps with like Draku's new hairstyle?
Yes. Yes, it does.
Absolutely, mate. I love that. Hey, talk to me quickly on a final note. A couple of subs on your roster with Kimjin in the bottom lane and Gooby in the jungle. We didn't see any roster swaps during Split 1. Is that a potential idea for them to flex in at any point in Split 2, do you think?
Yep, you might see them. Maybe. Who knows?
Well, I'm excited.
I never know.
Cryptic.
Mysterious.
Cryptic as always, mate. I love your
You
work.
could see me,
And
you could see
look,
me
mate.
playing. You know, who knows?
Oh, bro, I
We're
would love to
crazy
see
team.
that.
Bring
The
back
man
the
behind the
jungle
madness.
support.
Sub yourself in, mate. Hey, look, we'll jump into the action. We'll see how you boys fare into peace. And look, mate, we'll catch up soon, eh?
Yep. Put them.
All right, Rusty. This time, we didn't miss out on any kills, but look, mate, we got a spectacular interview as we always want.
Always a pleasure, isn't it? Just to hear from the man himself. It's you never know what you're going to get with Kuda, but that's one of the best parts about him. We've seen a lot of aggressive trading in this game, Skibby, but as you mentioned, no kills. Just a lot of trying to control the lanes themselves. There was an early ward placed by Swaith from the Chiefs side towards the enemy Raptor camp, and then a red start from Akathis, which does slow down your clear just a little bit. End of the day, he's not going to lose too much health. The jungle is quite a forgiving place right now for champions that have AoE.
It seems to be that way. And there is plenty of scaling options, as you mentioned, with the fact that Swaith will no doubt looking to once again be that hard carry, but he's going to have his work cut out him for Babip. Has already got himself a double buff, looking to try and invade, scout out where the positioning and camp clear options have been utilized here by Swaith. Both are going to swap out a scuttle apiece, top side for bottom. But it does beg the question where that first gank will come from and if we will see anything crazy before level 6.
Yeah, so I think it's unlikely to be seen in mid. Most of the pressure does exist in that bottom lane, and for the side of Chiefs, if they can get ahead in the bot 2v2, that obviously bodes well for their composition. But one thing that the Chiefs have done also, which is pretty important and worth highlighting here, is that they have, and I'm just going to say this and not know if it's absolutely true, they have deemed that Kisei has the faster fingers out of the solo laners. He's going to be playing the mechanically demanding champion of the Lee Sin, where the Nocturne, the caveman mid laner, is going to be in the hands of Liv. So they've actually flipped those champions and where they're going to be starting out their lanes. And the reason that I bring this up is they didn't flex it for a specific matchup, I don't think. They just kind of did it. So I think it was a conscious choice.
Well, they've just done something else as well, and that's forced a gank in the bottom side of the map. Out goes the Wall of Pain, as looking like these can just simply disengage away from this one. Lived probably wasn't too keen to go for that. He had to reset the base, had to TP back to mid to try and catch up what Halo had been doing, which was pressuring that wave in and sacrificing multiple underneath the turret. But that does mean that Peace are unleashed and free to roam towards this top half of the map, where Kisei, also in a spot above her, crash under the wave, might find himself in a 1v3.
Yeah, he's in a lot of trouble here. Just use his W to disengage, so they're just going to chase him down. Oh,
Sonic Wave.
Oh,
The
the
minions
minion
died. He's died. It's not going to happen. Unfortunately for him, he's going to fall on down. The flash burn. The minion dead. The first blood for Peace.
yeah, unfortunate stuff there. He goes for the wrong minion. The turret targets it. Lived is just playing a bodyguard for the mid wave right now and is trying to keep Halo at bay. And unfortunately, Halo does sneak his way through. And now the shoe's on the other foot. Lived has to run because he also knows that they're coming to get him.
Another TP, another chance to try and force a fight in their favor. Oh, great spell shield there from Liv. Is that going to be enough? No, a flash, bear, stun, slap. And that means that 3 members once again showing up. Right place, right time. Another kill for Peace.
Yeah, I mean, Peace just playing this one out perfectly. You see Halo just fighting in a 1v1. Babip says, I'm on my way. Appy, of course, with a very early teleport. And they're able to make sure that this Nocturne, no matter what, spell shield, even though it was perfect, not going to be enough to save him. And that's 2 easy kills on the board, both going to the hands of Babip as well on this Udyr, who's just going to be an absolute powerhouse when he gets that first base off, as Appy has killed Kisei.
Well,
Excuse
sometimes
me.
that happens. Look, we talked about how strong Appy is, so adept at pretty much playing anything he wants. Very consistent. I suppose consistency seems to be the word of the day, really, when you talk about Peace in multiple different lanes, but looks like he's just continued from where he left off all those months back.
It also seems like he's expanded that solo kill champion pool from Nah to Set as well.
That's
And
true
one
as
thing,
well.
if you remember, towards the
The
latter
Halo
parts
Blades now, right?
Yeah, he was a very good solo kill man with just the Nah, but this time around, yeah. Okay, Kisei ints. never mind, you know?
It happens.
Yeah, you know, he just ticks 6 from a minion that dies under the turret. I don't think Kisei or Appy perhaps were expecting it at the start of that trade, but that's just the way that it plays out.
Well, as they do say, sometimes you do get that. And that certainly was got, as he's going to fall on down. And everything so far for Peace is looking rosy red. Up by, say, 1,400 gold. Happy little early game lead. One of the best teams at acquiring these early gold leads. Questions have always been around coming to the mid to late game, how they look to try and play the macro, how they look to try and force their strength, be it gold leads or item advantages, and how other teams have been able to navigate in those mid to late game fights. So, Peace, looking strong. Chiefs still have ideas, still want time, still want level 6 more than anything.
Yeah, absolutely. They need to hit those level 6. I mean, level 6 is an ultimate composition without a doubt here from the side of Chiefs. What they're able to actually start getting done, being much more proactive, first of all, is a possibility for them there. But now you're contending with a super strong Udyr who's going to have tempo over someone like even a Karthus. Like, Swathe has put all of his resources, all of his time and effort into farming, and rightly so. Right? He's a Karthus. He has to do that. And it hits a point in the game where he just starts taking resources away as mid.
Well, it's the all-in as that magical number has been achieved. That's going to be Halo getting feared, and that's going to be Liv looking to pick up the kill. Swathe gets an assist, gets himself amongst all the carnage. We'll hold on to that ultimate, because that needs to be used elsewhere for cross-map plays. But a successful gank to try and stem the bleeding amid.
Yeah, I'm going to say that was called from Lived as well on this Nocturne, because it was just convenient, honestly, for Swathe, who was already looking to do that Raptor camp, but no flash on mid. Remember that Lived and Halo have the exact same flash timer as to how they're able to get that first kill onto the Nocturne. That's how he knows. So very easy kill there. You know, hit level 6, abuse the lack of summoner spells that existed at that moment for the Karma. No cleanse there as well, even though it is the unsealed spellbook. Must have switched to something else a little bit earlier. Well played there by Chiefs.
He is, and this is Babbitt now. Definitely working himself back to home soil. 2 kills to his name. They're going to go for the very first Herald as well to try and get some early pressure towards a potential first turret, if you will. And despite no kills taking place in the bottom half of the map, Violet is well on his way to becoming a bit of a powerhouse here with a significant CS lead into Ezreal.
Violet does as he does. Also did switch to the cleanse for what it's worth as we got into this one, was hovering over the heal. The reason that I bring that up now is because he has a Karthus ultimate, he has a Nocturne ultimate, and he has a lot of poke that can come from an Ezreal that heal would be valuable for. He's got the cleanse to stop, you know, a Leona engage to get out of perhaps a fear from the Nocturne, but the cleanse only has a really set amount of things that it is good for. And he'll be sorely missing that heal. You know, Alidoric on the other side here, still keeping the Ignite for that kill threat in the 2v2. So it doesn't even have the Exhaust to try and keep Violet alive. So definitely can still take apart the AD carry of PC is the side of the Chiefs, and that's something that we're pretty happy about. But it can't just be Dragku going by himself. He can't just engage by himself.
No, certainly cannot. And you look to definitely look at, say, Lived as well as Kisei to find those angles of success. And you start to wonder, you know, is there a degree of gold difference that just invalidates this idea of trying to pick apart an individual? You know, you remove Violet. Is that enough to try and even out the odds in this game? Sure, still very early on, only 10 minutes in, but the idea still stands that you have a composition built around hitting level 6, coming together and synergizing with those ultimates and, you know, abusing what you want to be, you know, vision and gold leads to be in those situations where you can find out people.
You know, I think that a Fed set and a Fed Udyr does kind of make it hard, as we are looking at a Karthus ultimate and not doing a lot, unfortunately, from that one. That's an ultimate just going to be wasted there. Nocturne, I believe, was super close to having his own ult ready.
We've lost Halo then, 20 pixel Andy. Just incredible APM action on the Carmen, knocks his camera over.
Just buzzing too hard there.
Bit of an all-in bot lane as the rocket goes out, forcing this wave in, actually forcing Imboma and co back too. And they're going to have to bleed a lot more CS underneath this turret as Kisei still in the wrath of top lane too, having gone in very early on. Out goes to Paranoia.
Oh.
And the question is, where? Top side is what they're looking for, the kick, the connect, and the revenge for Kisei.
I mean, that was mechanically well played, what we saw of that one. Of course, the recall is going to get stopped here, and Boma and Dragku, if they stay, they've got an Udyr just sitting in the bush looking at them. Appy will probably have the teleport or be very close to it when he respawns also. So you're looking at the chance that on this wave, a ward's placed, and they look for the dive. Also, the Herald ready to go if this is successful, and it could just be a full turret.
And Boma's in so much trouble right now. Only has 80 mana to his name. Gets locked in place in double chompers. Then shifts into the turret. It's just too little too late. A 4-member collapse. A solo player to try and buy a little bit more time for these TPs to try and come on through. Numbers disadvantage. Aggro swap. Halo survives. Sonic Wave does not connect. Facebreaker brings in Kese, then suplex underneath his own turret. Liv flashes exhausted. Doesn't really matter because they still take out the Jinx. Now Babbitt with the sweeper, looking to try and keep tabs as to where this Nocturne could be. Kise survives on 10%. And a lot of different mechanics shown and displayed here in the bottom half of the map as, unfortunately, True Shot Barrage is not enough in
Karthus
tandem.
with the wide flank. Babbitt has joined the wrong team here, Skibby. There's nowhere to go. He's going to have to look to execute if possible, I would imagine.
Yes.
There we go. He's going to have to execute. Crazy fight to consider that that ends with the death of the top inner turret, and it's still going.
Oh no, Kise!
Oh.
Why?
I don't know about that one, Chief.
That's on
Sir?
brand. That was clever.
Yeah, didn't mean that. Well,
run
watch
this
the
one
fight
back.
again. And Boma actually gets hit by the chompers there. Walks into them, so it's pretty easy to follow up here. The hook was actually really nice by Elidoric. It peels Dragku away from Babbitt to ensure that he's able to actually hit that bear slap and follow it up. Teleports come in like we said that could potentially happen, but Liv just goes on Violet, uses that stride breaker that he would have just picked up at this point, and the exhaust is a too little too late thing there, unfortunately for him. Kise, nice little ward hop to survive. Of course, it does choose to use that ward to die later, but survived at that moment in the replay, and that's what matters.
He was playing the game at min-max, but just in the stage game as opposed to a scrim there. Showcasing, hey, look, I'm 10%. Let me see if I can try and make a montage out of this one. But regardless, Peace will be quite content with how that all played out because they've ballooned their gold lead from what was only 1,400 to double that to make it 3k now. First Dragon of the game goes their way. A little bit of a delayed one as we fast approach the 14-minute mark, but that's an Infernal Drake on their score sheet.
They're poised to be massively powerful, you know, with the first mythics that start to come across. You've got a pretty big set and Udyr to be a front line. You've also got the very early kills onto a Karma, which means the Moonstone build is going to be on super early also. Also picking up, beyond that, a stopwatch for immediate strength. So it's pretty difficult to actually take that Karma down, which means it's pretty difficult to take the Jinx down, even without the Summoner spells missing, and that is, of course, the piece composition in a nutshell. Karthus, however, is 11. Lived is getting closer to that point, you would have to imagine, and has got the completed mythic of his own. So, contrasting that with the damage output of their opponents here, Chiefs still with some tools to make it happen.
Certainly do have some tools. You see Liv posturing there in his own jungle, out of vision. Considering if we decide to go for a fight here or not, as Peace grouped up as 4. Looking to clear out all the vision and lay down the top half of the map saying it belongs to us. I don't know if that was a fight Chiefs really wanted, given the fact that Kise was crashed underneath his own turret. So didn't want to forgive, or didn't want to actually have to lose out on that as well. But the second Herald has now just spawned.
Cleanse just ticking over available there for Violet also. Does make it a little bit harder for the side of Chiefs to contest this one if they were to look to do so. They are posturing forwards now themselves. Sky's Bloom will at least spot all of Peace doing the heralding. Confirmation is there. That's really it so far.
Will we see a contest? Not looking too likely based on the current positioning. Out goes the Solar Flare. Draco doesn't completely hit it, but it went on towards Halo nonetheless. Soaking up all the damage in the world right now as that shield goes wild, but he's the only one amongst. And Peace question mark him because the rest of Chiefs were not keen to go and follow, despite the ultimate from Nocturne. Even with the lights off, it's still a guaranteed kill.
Yeah, it just felt like miscommunication there from the Chiefs. They were 100% looking at it, they were posturing for it, but the time that it took for Swathe to get there was way too high. And then Dragku, you know, who was sitting in that bush for a while, was brewing over the fact that an engage was possible. Still chooses to go for it a little bit too late after the fact, and you know, doesn't hit the stun, still walks in trying to staunch them, and it backfires huge as they get a kill, as well as the Herald, as well as a charge in mid, and they're just well and truly running away with this one.
Certainly are. Happy days for them. Divine Sunderer comes out for Mboma, one of the core components now for this new version of the Ezreal. And in the comfortable hands here of Mboma, he'll be looking to try and say, new split, same champion, looking for the end result of a big victory on his screen. But it's going to be an uphill battle. I think they need a fair bit of time, Rusty, to try and hold their own in this one. I'm looking at, what, 2-3 items before they can really hit the power they're looking to try and deliver here. That's obviously taking into consideration multiple dragons and potentially even barons too. But it is worth noting that Swaif has been farming up a storm.
Yeah, it's 2 items for Mboma if he's going to do the most damage that he can. Of course, the third item being a Cyrilda's would increase that damage still and make his sticking power stronger, but the core 2 of the Divine Sunder and the Muramana are going to be things that he looks at. Unfortunately for him, he has less gold than the enemy support.
Yeah.
So not exactly in a winning situation and has been abundantly weak-sided, it feels like now. While the rest of his solo laners were also suffering. It's a real tragedy of being in this Chiefs game right now. So getting those items is easier said than done, Skimmy.
Certainly when Violet's accelerated like this, forget about the fact that you don't have any dash, no mobility. You've got yourself the most gold in the game on a composition built to protect you and allow you to continue to do what you've done all year long. He's looking to try and push in through mid to get themselves a second turret.
Stand corrected. He has gold.
It's all about mid lane so far, as the posturing all comes down to the second dragon of the game, which is going to be a Cloud one. So, soul point-wise, all up for grabs, mitigation, as well as sustain.
Yeah, pretty late. Dragon takes here overall. Liv is going to clear the wave. He's at risk of being dove, but nice little aggressive moves.
Out comes the Requiem, looking to try and deter him that much further as he turns out the lights. The rest of the team have no idea where they are. The Lantern goes out. Kissei didn't want to bar it. Even though he had TP, he just wants to keep split pushing top side, being successful at it, as he did acquire a top tier turret as a result. So nice management of the cross-map plays as Chiefs continue to farm up and not lose anything in the end.
Yeah, the method in the play was fantastic from the Chiefs in the way that a Nocturne could instantly clear a minion wave, and he made it impossible for them to dive. Turns the lights out, and the Karthus ultimate was just this nice little extra thrown on top, more than anything else, to try and deter them further. Mental game going the way of the Chiefs, of course. But at the end of the day, the reset's still there from Peace. Nothing massive lost, just a little bit of time overall. Kissei, of course, looking at mid lane, but Violet with the Lantern is always going to be safe. That is generally just the name of the game here. And knowing there's no Karthus ultimate, knowing that there's no Nocturne ultimate, to actually contest an objective is pretty much impossible for the Chiefs. So they're a couple of minutes away from being strong and just free objectives and free gold continuing to the pockets of the right places of Peace in the meantime.
They'll be happy with that, as they know that Chiefs want to buy more time, want to continue to scale on up. Worth noting, as we mentioned before from that graph, that Swaif is level 13, higher than every single member of Peace.
Oh yeah.
So he's quite happy to say, look, we can continue to sacrifice. We'll mount our assault and contest for a Baron or for a Soul Point. We've got plenty of time on our hands, given the fact that Peace picked up that first dragon so late. So whilst it looks good for Peace so far, and they've got themselves that gold lead, would you say, Rusty, 2K is enough to feel comfortable right now as a Peace fan?
I mean, it's enough to feel comfortable, but not, like, confirmed. There's no way that this amount of gold difference is just going to outright win you the game. But I think if you're a Peace fan and just looking again, the way they drafted, the way they've been playing so far, and the way that they will continue to play this one out, you should be pretty confident overall. But you are against, a Karthus with almost the most farm on his team. He's one-off. Insane experience gain, and the easiest way to play this one out is just, get those 3 items on a Karthus and 1v9 a team fight around an objective. And I think the advantage, like you mentioned, being late Drakes, does make that a very possible thing here.
We'll see how they continue to navigate the game, the course of action, and what would appear to be a bit of a risk-adverse play style. I say that, they're going to be proactive right now. Well, Swaif starts by laying down the wall. Out comes the suplex. 3 members come together. Appy buying time with a haymaker. The mitigation expires. He's going to fall on down. No, he's not. The dot is ticking. The Requiem will seal the deal. Sure, the flash is nice, but the ultimate can snipe you from afar. And Chiefs, well, they're considering maybe we can pinch a maneuver and come from every single angle, but Peace, they stand strong. Grouped as 4, force Kissei out, and force the pressure elsewhere.
Kissei's got those mechanics, man. He's just taken one too many Qs a couple of times here, and that's backfired on him, but still looking.
He's gone for the, well, tried to. Nice little flash, though. Preventing what would have been the insect.
Yeah, you got 2 flashes out there as well, actually. Alidoric and Halo both having to flash themselves to safety, so Peace will survive with everyone alive and well and truly intact with some tempo and some control in mid lane, and they are going to pressure for this turret, but Chiefs hunting constantly, and you can see how much damage the Karthus is really starting to put down. And going to a side lane is one of the most dangerous places that you can be right now if you're a Peace player, which means the game starts to shift even more into the hands and the pressure of Violet. Halo has to stick with him, so there really is only one side laner on their team in the set, and the set just died for being in a side lane.
Yeah, and we've seen that. Pretty evident, the fact that, you've got this bodyguard squad, this entourage, if you will, following around Violet, working as a unit, saying, you're going to have to speak to us before we can get to him. And, in the end, despite Appy falling on Dan, it is enough to deter any further pressure from the side of Chiefs. But they respect the fact that, hey, this is still Peace's game to execute in terms of a rotational advantage. They're the ones that are still able to lay down the vision and decide whether or not they go for a dragon. But that suits Chiefs just fine.
Israel's starting to get towards that second item. I really need to see, I think, 3 items from him, honestly, in this game to be strong, and I think it has to be a Surrealist third. Liv now is about to get collapsed on. It's a big flank from Babip.
There's no teleport protection right now. The spell shield starts out. The flash as well, and the fear connects is beautiful. Fantastic execution of the combo there from Lived. And the gank attempt towards bot lane proves to achieve nothing.
No flash on a Nocturne is pretty significant though, so I mean, keep that in mind. He's going to look to ult onto a Jinx. He's going to have to try and make sure the fear connects. If there's a cleanse that can be used on Leona, then you need to have some kind of extra supplementary crowd control. But now that flash is gone, easier said than done. I think at this stage, you still take those little wins if you are Peace, because that's all that really matters. You're a little bit worried about the scaling. You're a little bit worried about the 7 million experience and an item Karthus that can come across, but at the moment, you can still pretty happily take those small advantages in a flash and, Dragon up in a minute. That's a pretty big win.
Certainly is. Plenty to play for here as we jump into our balls, and we'll get confirmation from the admins as to what's going on in just a second. But until such time, I believe we'll be jumping back to our beautiful faces so you can see what is going on, and I suppose really discuss the current game state, right? You talk about the fact that, I completely cut myself off there because it looks like we're just jumping back in. No need for a confirmation, no need to worry. We might just be jumping back into the game, Rusty. I think we're in.
I think we're in.
I was like, do I have to double back on myself twice here?
We're in. Okay, we're in game. Never mind.
Good.
Never mind.
Okay. So, as you mentioned before, right, 30 seconds on this next dragon. It's going to be a mountain assault. It's actually quite nice, given the fact that Chiefs have this all-in composition. So, there's definite pros and cons here for either side being quite content.
Absolutely, yeah. So, 20 seconds, Skimmy. Not going to be a game-changing moment, but could be if Chiefs choose to all-in commit to a fight. There's also a world where Peace say, Chiefs have postured earlier. They have full vision control, which they do. 3 control wards and 2 deeper wards placed already. Getting to the pit is easier said than done. They may consider conceding it. We shall see.
Put those out. Not going to follow that one. Both teams posturing for control of the entry into this dragon. No vision. Makes it very difficult right now for either side to fully commit. And they're going to be quite content to continue to throw out empowered shields across the board to ensure that his team stay healthy enough to continue this little dance.
Yeah, there's no crazy sustain for either side, but there is a lot of engage. So a nice hook is going to connect, but once again, like we mentioned, the vision is just too good from the Chiefs. They got there too fast, they got there too early, and Peace have to walk the long way around. They're forced to, which buys more than enough time for the Chiefs to be able to take down that objective. Uncontested, with just small semblances of defiance there. Overall by Peace. So a nice little move from Chiefs. They got there early. They got it done.
They did. And happy days for them now. Continue to, drive home this narrative. That's another 5 minutes. They don't have to worry about a soul point being threatened. That's another moment to say, sure, Violet's well on his way to hitting that magical 300 CS number. And he's going to have a lot of items behind him. Going to have a lot of power to try and juggle. But the question is, when do they decide enough is enough? When do they decide we need to just force a Baron before Chiefs get out of control here?
Again, I don't necessarily believe there is this out of control point, because it does come down to, in essence, Karthus versus Jinx, and Jinx can still pop off in team fights, especially with the comp that's built around it. So there's going to be pressure points, right? There's definitely going to be item break points where it can be terrifying to deal with. Swaith going for the Leandri's Void Staff build means that he's maximizing his damage output now and is trying to be efficient for his third item purchase of what I would assume is then a death cap. As much damage as he possibly can. And won't be afraid of dying. But won't be able to get the Zonias then if that is the case. And will die faster. And that's something that Violet would be pretty happy about, because a reset on that Get Excited means that he's almost impossible to hit with a spell.
Yeah. It'd be interesting to see, as you say, because I'm in two different minds as to where Swaith may go with this one. If he goes for the Zonias, it seems to be the more safe option, but ability to go for just pure damage and run into a Baron or a Dragon Pit and say, it's all or nothing. We're gambling this game on just that pure notion. Would seem a little bit haphazard, but we've seen stranger things before.
I have. Good show.
Good show. You're hitting the bangers today, mate.
That's not a banger. Don't say that. Very wrong. Please ignore me.
He's got the dad jokes on lockdown. Here we go once again. 26 minutes in, Babip said enough. He jumps on Hidden and, well, he hits the bear slap. Confuses me for a second because that goes to Paranoia and both teams say that's enough to scare us.
Yeah, Peace a little bit afraid of the dark there, and you can't blame them. They didn't really know where it was going. The Flash still being committed, Teleport still being committed. So, end of the day, Ultimates traded for Summoner spells is a small victory there overall for the side of the Chiefs. Peace haven't cleared out full vision control at all. You can see the ward that Swaith is currently walking over. That actually, like, kind of does reveal where Babip was recalling. You can see him walking to the bush and not leaving it, so you know. They also have one on the pit itself. They're still needing those resets as sweepers, and even now Alidoric isn't going to use that sweeper to clear the actual river. The Chiefs still with good information can continue their farming. You can continue to watch Swaith be greedy, as he wants to do.
Yep.
Hit level 16, as he's currently level 15 and still the highest in the game.
My point exactly, right? He's definitely not let his foot off the pedal. He's going straight ham in this game, saying level 16, and it's pretty much GG from there, boys. Like, you know, this is a game that I will look to try and mirror match. It's going to be a showdown between myself as well as this Jinx. Up top sides, Kisei once again looks for trouble, hits the Tempest and smacks him with the roundhouse. Thanks in part to a beautiful ult there from Swaith. But he once again punishes this what do you want to call it, Rusty? This slight sore thorn in their backside here for Peace if they just have no side lane pressure.
Yeah, they just can't even exist now, right? That was a 1v1 with a Karthus ultimate. That wasn't actually a gank going up the top lane. That was still just casual farming from Swaith in the meanwhile. And it is more than enough to ensure that Kisei's able to win in just a skirmish, just a duel. Now, it does still open up the opportunity, of course, for mid lane. The tower is going to fall. The pressure from Violet is still very difficult to deal with. But I think the longer that we sit in this game state, where Lived and Kisei can both go to side lanes, and Appy can't 1v1 either of them because the Karthus exists, I think the game becomes harder and harder for Peace to deal with. You know, there's no teleport on Halo right now. He's gone for the barrier. Does want to be grouped with Violet. That's where the composition is the best. And I don't think Babip necessarily wants to be someone that goes into a side lane instead either. It's a tricky spot to be in.
Feels like a tricky spot that you kind of shoehorned yourself into, given the fact of a delayed dragon. Now, hindsight obviously being so beautiful and easy to criticize, but we've got ourselves another dragon up here in 30 seconds, with ultimates being down much in part like the Requiem, which may just come up a little bit later, depending on how long this stance takes. There's a window in which Peace can say, look, let's take full control of this game back and say we're not going to fall victim to just passively losing in these side lane exchanges.
Yeah, I swear to God, at the start of the show I mentioned that this is more of a gank jungling meta and teams are going to be more aggressive, and now we're in a real chill 30-minute game. The first one went to like 45 minutes also. Remember the long haul tonight, Skimmy? The Baron is actually going to be started off this time. Will be spotted early, but once again, the look in, it exists. Kisei still sitting in those side lanes. The point of pressure that is winning for the Chiefs is continuing to win.
He's just going to go all the way. Right now, he's literally causing Peace so many dilemmas as to, well, are you going to deal with the Baron? Are you going to try and force your hand on this dragon? Soul Point, Inhibitor, what's the go right now? So the decision making here from Chiefs is sublime. It's fantastic there. Sure, the Dragon Soul is now a consideration within the next 5 minutes, but I think Chiefs are going to feel quite comfortable to have 3 items by then.
That was nice, though, by Peace. To put him there solo is not something that was expected very fast by Chiefs at all. Like, obviously, if they knew that there was a Jinx soloing an objective, they would have just rained hell onto him.
Yeah.
Lasers from above, Nocturne ultimates, but They're able to sneak that one away, and that's again because there was pressure in top lane and the Chiefs assumed that they were coming towards them, and they watched Peace clear vision up towards them. But just a nice little move against the flow, you know, cheeky from Peace, but good.
Mind games proving to be that much more decisive here, as both teams really trying to feel each other out. You know, it's definitely a different story in terms of what we had in game number 1. You mentioned, sure, it was a long game, but at least in that one, we were having more kills than we had minutes. This one, a lot more controlled and calculated, right? You know, macro has been pretty important for the most part about, you know, playing to your strengths, about playing to your understandings. Appy finally, at the 31-minute mark, is able to take down that top tier 1. And he might now just look to try and go all in, and force a 2v2. He goes golden, does Swape as he's going to expire. Flashes out of the Haymaker, beautiful there. He might just pick up Halo in the end. One late waste will do the job. He's still kiting! Now he's dead! Out goes the Super Mega Death Rocket, but it doesn't matter, too little too late, not enough damage to try and expose and execute. A double 2-man blast code, everybody jumps on through, down goes the box. Tries to slowly engage. Kisei waiting for energy, waiting for CDs. Hits the Sonic Wave. The flame goes out early. Aladoric flashes away. And skill shots are just being chucked out for the sake of it right now.
The Chiefs are just winning in this game at the moment. They've found their opportunity. They're exploiting it. And that was the moment where Peace said, okay, we've got the flank, we've got the engage, we've got the gank. Violet is here, still has lanterns, and can still play aggressively. But there's kill threat everywhere. Teleports are coming in. This Baron will be contested.
There is no smite, no junglers here in the vicinity. The Baron is getting lower, down at 25%. 2 members flash on out. Forget the Baron. Kills are what we want. They take out Fresh. They look for Violet. He's slow. He's got a red buff. He cleanses, but Emboma flashes on top of his head. Burns double summoners, but gets the shutdown all importantly. Appy gonna salvage one. But forget the Baron. Get the kills. Get the job done.
I mean, forget it. Now move straight back to it again, right? You've got Karthus respawning. He's going to walk straight back over to the pit. Death cap in hand. Stopwatch, unfortunately, not available now. We'll be getting ever closer towards that zone. His hourglass that he needed. Teleports are going to come in. Basically, confirmation on the Baron now is all they're after, but you've still got Babbitt nearby. You've still got Flash Smite ready. Both junglers do 900 damage flat with their Smite. Level doesn't matter anymore, so Babbitt has a chance.
They had to commit, and that they do. Strivebreaker in to close the distance. Out goes the Soliflare. The Baron getting lower down to 1300. Looking to get closer. Oh, he can't smite it. I think it would have been very close if we get a picture-by-picture replay. But he was in the right place at the right time. But Swape with a steady hand guarantees that the Chiefs get this Baron buff.
Yeah, it was actually brilliant by the Chiefs. They stop hitting Baron completely. They stun lock Babbitt after he flashes in and had 2k health. And it stayed at 1300 HP for a few seconds. And at that point, Babbitt, you know, losing his health really was just forced into pressing Smite and hoping that he had enough damage to get the execute and took the gamble. But I believe it went down to about 600 health, and Swait's just able to press Smite straight afterwards and secure the objective. We'll see this again, because Halo, while he gets forced on and pressured here, he takes the attention of everyone. We're not going to see it.
Oh, no.
Aladoric's dead. So we're going to Aladoric die. That's what we're seeing.
We wanted to see the breakdown of how close that Baron was, and Chief said, you know what? No, we've hit our moment in the game. We've hit our bounce spike. 34 minutes, forget about that. We want to show you what's happening in the now. Focus on the present, and that is a few more kills.
And really weighs into this game with Jinx's build, makes it harder and harder. You know, there's 4 items. The 4th item is, of course, a Guardian Angel, which means the damage he's gone for a bit of a safer build. We'll put it that way. You know, no flash, no cleanse. It's very difficult to exist right now. And even in that last team fight, you could see that he was not actually able to get enough damage out to execute someone, to reset, to actually pop off in a team fight. And has gone for a 4th item that is still a little bit more defensive than perhaps he would like.
And Rusty, I mean, what a glow up from Emboma as well. You just saw there, he has the most gold in the game. At one point in this, he had less than Aladoric. He was down at the bottom, so Comfort proves to be successful. Sure, you can say he's been spoon-fed the kills, he's been able to get the killing blow, but there's a lot of bounties around on the side of Chiefs if Peace can still find their moment to shine.
This is basically the moment where Peace is saying, if we get this, we're good. Ultimately, I would like to see them actually just take down the dragon, get the soul, just make sure the Elder spawns. Here we go.
Soliflare onto 2, that's going to be Aladoric locked in place. He hits the play, he gets kicked away actually. Yes, they find Halo, but that's now Violet finding 1, finding 2. He's excited and he's riding members down. Violet from the flank, Violet from the side. Ultimate connects on absolutely no one. But he's got a GA and he still has protection. Alodoric may just trickle down, but survives on 10%.
Another one.
One final hook, one final flay, and one final way to say, look at this play, making sure that everything goes their way. Happy days, really, for the side of Violet, because they are just showcasing what they can do in Kisei. Wanted to try and be the hero, but in the end, gets aced.
Just auto spaces their heads off. Violet with the Guardian Angel, deterring the use of a Karthus ultimate, perhaps something that they would regret in hindsight. Minions pushing in top wave are looking to threaten a turret on the Nexus, but that is the Mountain Soul confirmed. That is a team fight won by Peace. Those are the resets that we expected and we thought we would see. And this happens with Halo dying pretty early into the piece here as well. We'll see the Nocturne ultimate go off. The stun connects from Dragku, but it's just onto a Thresh. The kick, however, from Kisei was great as it enables him to hit that Sonic Wave and look into the play. Swaith dying early is not an issue, but I still really don't know if he didn't have ult or just chose not to use it there. The indicator said it was up, but that would have been a pretty big difference here, you would imagine, right?
Oh, 100%.
Unfortunately, doesn't come out, and the Kisei now left to die as the last member. Gets close to killing Violet, actually, but not going to be able to do so.
Very interesting talking points here, Rusty. You say that on the one hand, Peace have finally hit their quote-unquote power spike with the Mountain Soul looking to try and nullify a lot of this all-in threat that Chiefs have. They've been silently scaling, getting their items, 3 to 4 items now across the board, but Kisei's been knocking on the door of topside for a fairly long time now, has opened up that top lane ahead, but it has actually now been successful with minions pushing to get a Nexus turret too, so you have to feel like this next team fight, whether it be for Baron or what, is really on a knife's edge.
100%. Nocturne ultimate? Where you going?
No vision.
Just shuts the lights off.
Okay.
Just gives him a bit of a spook.
That hurts. I mean, it was a 4v5, Appy locked in topside. Sure, he could have TP'd in, but it's an opportunity that has gone amiss.
I mean, there's not a lot on the map to take, so they can afford to sit back, clear some waves, and wait for the Nocturne ultimate again anyway. Appy is going to be able to push in that top wave, however. He's going to be able to deal with those super minions and kind of bring the wave to a point where it's reset. You can also see Violet now moving up there. So they're going to look to push out the wave where they are weak. And now, instead, Lived and Kisei are going to go to the opposite side of the map. We've got both solo laners from the Chiefs in bottom lane. It could be that Kisei is going to go undetected. Because remember, a Karthus ultimate being global, a Lee Sin, who you wouldn't expect to see, of course he's going to show himself, but a Lee Sin you wouldn't expect to see could bait someone in. But instead, they're just going to play the side lanes.
It's not a team fight. Just wait for the long cooldowns to come back and guarantee that, well, you've got decisions to make. You team fight us, or you just lose to passive minion pressure. And we saw how that narrative played out in game 1 of the day. Peace grouped up here, looking to try and mount an assault towards the top half of the map with a wave crashing in. Hunting for stragglers, desperate for vision.
And as a result of a Nocturne and a Lee Sin showing in the bottom wave, it's going to be full control for Peace near the Baron. Very difficult now for the Chiefs to actually contend with this one to get in the area.
Oh, out goes the solo player once again, but Babbitt was nowhere near that one. He actually burns his flash just to respect. Out comes the TP. Peace looking to try and turn things around right now. That's Appy kicked straight away. Out go the lights. Appy nowhere to run. Hits the suplex blind. Looks to try and buy time with the haymakers. Requiem comes on through and boom! Ooh. Deletes their health bars. Out goes some powered shield there from Color, but it's just not going to be enough. Look at them all bleed and burn and try and survive. 2 kills here for Violet. He runs straight to the minion camp and picks up some lifesteal. And if I was in Boma, I would have been screaming for the Penta.
But they do survive by the skin of their teeth, the Mountain Soul that they have picked up. Basically is the difference there between just dying to the Requiem immediately. Teleport's now going to come in from the side of Peace. They get some resets. 2 members dead from the side of Chiefs to the 1 of Peace. This will most likely just be the Baron secured, but we'll see what they're able to get done. Nocturne, no ult. And Boma can 1v9, however, if he is given the positioning to do so.
I mean, the Serpent's Fang, especially with those recent buffs, right? It's just putting in so much work.
There definitely is. Extra healing cut from ranged champions as well. One of the biggest things, I believe it was a 10% buff there. And Boma's doing what he can. Really is doing what he can. And that fight was dicey. There was a point where the set altered Kisei into the allied team, and it almost looked like a mistake where maybe you would want to push Swaith away. But, you know, they win the fight, so we won't fault it.
Red team's inhibitor is respawning soon.
Shaking in my boots though. If I'm seeing that Calf Assault come out, level 18, soon to be 6 fully completed items. Imagine if you had an Infernal Soul. I mean, that would have really been the icing on the cake right there. That is just doing so much damage, and without a shield there to mitigate it, even with a shield there, Rusty, I mean, it's enough to try and say, this is a fight that we will win, and this is what it looks like. When you hit the switch, you jump in as lived, you look to disengage away, receive a shield, flash on out, to try and suplex in. Draku jumps in, so does Kisei. They've made one go to the afterlife. That is Violet, the pick target they want. He doesn't have claims, he doesn't have flash, he might just fall on down. Kisei dead, it doesn't matter. 3 kills found here by Peace. Is Requiem the difference maker? It finds one, and Boma untouched, full HP, and hoping to find an avenue to find more. He dashes aggressively, hits the arcane shift from afar. The damage does not connect on this time with Boma. Now he dashes on in, finds one. He might be in trouble. He's bitten off more than he can chew, with no vision, with no chance, with a game that will be aced against them.
I mean, Boma decides that's the moment, right? He's going to make a hero of himself, go in and make sure they win the team fight. There was low health bars from the side of Peace. You cannot discredit the idea in his head, but unfortunately, they turn around and they just one-tap him. Not enough spells were able to connect there, and unfortunately, Peace win the team fight so comprehensively, even with Violet being CC locked for like 6 seconds, that they're just going to win the game.
Well, here we go. It was a game that ran its mile. 42 minutes. Peace will finally put it to a close. But it was a game with multiple halves. And for Chiefs, no doubt they're going to be thinking that could have been the game that would have gone our way. Well, looks like we've lost Rusty for the meantime, so it's just me looking to try and break down this game as, look, I mean, let's not be beating around the bush here. That was pretty hype for a second game here at the DoorDash LCO. Another long game, another little 40-minute banger, but a game that definitely delivered on multiple different fronts there, where you see that Chiefs quite passively playing towards those late game ultimates, waiting for the levels, waiting for the 3 to 4 item power spikes, and when they found it, well, it found a success that you would hope it would achieve. A heroic play there by Mboma at the end there, and his most popular and most meta champion, you say, in the Ezreal. It just wasn't enough to get them across the finishing line there. Peace, strong as they were, the mitigation from the Karma, the grouping up as a team, the reset potential that Violet was able to find proved to be the difference maker. And Babbitt returns to home soil and finds himself a dub. It's a happy return story, a happy home welcome, if you will. And Mac, if you're there with me, mate, I heard you laughing in the background, having a good old time with that game. What did you make of that one, mate?
Good game, and you have to say it was just a Babbitt diff at the end of it, because a lot of what we saw, I kind of lost the plot after the initial Kuden interview, because you wrangled that so well. So I just need to give you some props, Skimmy, for taking the reins on that one, doing a very good job. We have a Rusty. Is that Rusty? Have we got the return?
What a day.
Well, you haven't missed much, Rusty. We're back in, and we are almost back to the cameras as well. But look, in terms of the game, I thought the Chiefs definitely could have done it. You know, there's a couple of globals. Maybe if Kisei didn't go for so many limit tests towards the start or the earlier parts of the game, then maybe Chiefs could have gotten across the line, but it seems like Peace just knew exactly what they were doing, especially towards the end, and then made it look very easy breezy on that final push.
This part here, though, Mac, you know, you look at this and you think, man, if I was like, I'm sure Mboma's going to look at that replay, and it's just going to be a bit of a nightmare for him to say, man, I had the game in the pub on my hands, back-to-back team fights where literally I was able to try and dart across the map with all the CDR in the world and pretty much outplay everybody with no comeback potential from them. He's going to look back at that one and say, we had no vision. But boy, was there a good chance for me to be the hero on today's event.
Yeah, it was a crazy one. And I guess that, what is it, patch 11.11 is just the patch of the 40-minute meta, because we're going over 40-minute games already. And that game was not the game we were looking for to get us back on schedule, but it still certainly was bloody entertaining. A whole lot of assists, a whole lot of kills again, and a whole lot of damn action. So we're getting there. We're on the way. And I was interested with the Udyr pick coming out from Babip as well, because I was expecting something a bit more, I don't know, maybe a bit more glass cannon-y or maybe a bit more actiony for the early game. Although, that being said, Udi is really one of those champs that can start to affect the game nice and early on.
Yeah.
It was interesting. As well as lived on the Nocturne kind of caught me off guard. I thought we would see Kisei there. Oh, he's... Hello?
I'm back! I'm back! It's working!
Welcome.
I straight up got tangled in my chair, and as the last team fight happened, the whole headset just came out.
No.
Like, all of it. Just gone. So I spent that whole time trying to plug it back in. I couldn't find the cord.
I'll tell you how to find it next time. See this cord here, Rusty? If you start here, and then you follow
the other
it to
end.
the... Oh.
It got stuck under the desk somewhere magically. I don't even know how.
Well,
man.
my tip goes out the window. But I was just hoping to help a man out here. Now, how are you feeling after that one? After the chaos, not only from the end of the game, but your own personal chaos there as well.
I mean, yeah, it was a solid game. I think the Chiefs showed a lot of promise, which is my key takeaway from it, right? Because we all expect Peace to win the game, but there was a genuine moment where they could have lost a couple of times there. So, I mean, at the end of the day, we'd say congratulations to Peace for winning, but I am still only looking at the Chiefs and saying that was much better than I thought, and gives me a lot of hope for the 9 weeks that we have of this sprint.
Yeah. Especially in a triple round robin, right? Far less likely that you're going to get any tiebreakers, far more potential to have these generic narratives of like, oh, we're going to start strong, or we're a team that needs time to try and ramp on through. So a lot longer than it was last split with Super Week after Super Week. So we might get to see teams really coming to their own.
Yeah, just a less crazy schedule allows for teams to really go back, watch the VODs, make sure they can fix all the issues, and come back into the next weeks as a revitalized team. Now it is the DoorDash player that delivered, and the player that delivered for Game 2 of the day was Violet. Of course, down in the bottom lane, almost not putting a foot wrong. He did get 2 deaths on the board, which is... is that higher than the damage share?
53%, man.
That damage share is 53% of the 5 players on his team. He did over half of his team's damage by himself, which I feel like, and I don't know, maybe a record. Like, not just locally.
Are you surprised, though? Because if it was going to be anyone, it was probably Violet.
There was a point in time, I forget when, but he had damage share or KDA. He had something, and he was like top 4 in the entire world. He had some insane record on that. But it's just crazy to see that, this game, I think it was like 38k that he did. Rest of his team were pretty low in comparison. Their main job was like, soaking and shielding. And you look on the flip side, it was like Ezreal and Karthus both doing 35k. So like, they're just pumping out insane damage. He's like, don't worry, boys. Like, put the power in me, and 53% is the end result.
There could be a disclaimer here, and the damage share percent may not just be to champs. It could also be to objectives as well. So we'll have to double check on that one. But even so, doing more than half the team's damage to everything on the Rift is a pretty big feat.
If we include minions, that's an interesting conversation to have now, isn't it? I don't know about that one anymore. Is it a record? I don't know.
Yeah, well, we'll get that one checked. Anyway, we are going to move forward, and let's bring Nat into the conversation, because we love Nat, and we love to hear what she can bring to the table. And usually that's some interviews, that's some players, but I want to hear from you first. What did you think of the game, Nat?
First, I'll say I love you too, Mac. Thank you. Don't think that one went unnoticed. But I thought it was a really good game. I thought there was a moment there. I was like, damn, Chiefs have again, I'm just looking for what improvement these teams have done over the break. So in my head, I'm like, wow, Chiefs have really done it. They're looking absolutely amazing. That is still the case, but it looked so close for them to be able to win it. And my heart does go out to Mboma there. He missed out on so many potential kills. He was like the cleanup crew that just couldn't get the last piece. So, but it was it was a great game to watch.
Yeah, just so much potential, and they are coming into this as a fierce opponent for all of the other teams in the league. Now, Nat, who do you have down on the sidelines there, or who are you trying to get?
I have requested Violet. I have some interesting questions I want to ask him. So hopefully we can bring him on in here and I can ask those to him. Violet, congratulations on the team's first win of Split 2. How are you feeling after that game?
I'm feeling pretty happy about that game. Yeah, it's good because we got a new jungler in, so it's been like we're just trying to like learn each other's like as people and like players in game. We're just still getting used to it playing with a new jungler, because bringing in a new jungler is probably like the most impactful role in the game. So it takes some time getting used to.
I'm excited to see you guys develop a little bit further then. I do want to ask about that draft. I'm very curious about the Karma and the Thresh picks and why you guys ended up putting Karma mid.
We ended up putting Karma mid because, I mean, Aldork's known to be like, he's a really good Thresh. And we thought we needed a bit more like protection for me. Because like, when we saw their draft, I was like, holy shit, it's going to be pretty hard for me to play my champion into their comp. So that's why we added the Thresh in to provide me a bit more safety and protection.
I like it. Was there a moment where you were a little bit worried that you guys were going to lose that game? I mean, we saw Chiefs take a Baron fight and it looked really good for them for quite some time. So were you worried?
Like usually like this early in the season, like losses don't really mean much. It's like at the end of the day, to me, LCO is a marathon. Like regular season placing doesn't mean too much. So like when I play these games, like I'm not like too worried because I know none of bot lanes can compete with me, besides maybe like Praetive. So at the end of the day, bot gap, I'm gonna make sure bot gap always prevails. So
I love it. Last question I do want to ask though is, you speak of bot gap, but it seemed like a really rough laning phase for both of you guys. You came out of laning phase, I think, with potentially maybe only one or two kills. Why do you think it was so difficult for you to get more kills on the board at the start?
I think due to the champions they played, like they heavily prioritize like Ezreal. Ezreal's like, if you're really good at Ezreal, you can like win lane with it and get like CS leads. But like I think I came out with like, I don't even know, I came out with like a CS lead and like 1 kill only. But that's because they play like super safe, right? Like when they lock in Ezreal, they just weak side it and like yeah, because like they know they're not gonna win lane anyways, even if they strong side it. So I think due to the like nature of the champions that they played and their play style, it's like pretty hard to kill them because they just sit back and hug their turret.
Look,
so
you didn't let you didn't let it phase you, and you guys ended up securing that win. So thank you so much for taking the time to talk to me, and congratulations again.
thank you very much.
Oh, a very confident and honest Violet, as always there. But look, he is one of the best ADCs in the league. And I did get word back from the producer that 53% damage share may be accurate. The admins checked it and they said that it looks right.
Which
Wow.
may be, in my opinion anyway, and I don't know for certain, a global record for this year in any one game.
We'll have
Ooh.
to check that one because that's just, it's unreal. Just craziness.
Breaking records on the DoorDash LCO. What do you know? And speaking of breaks, it is also time to throw to another one. Game 3 coming up just after this. Ladies and gents, don't go too far because we have Pentanet and Direwolves coming up just after the break.
And this is what it looks like when you hit the switch. You jump in as Liv, you look to disengage away, receive a shield, flash on out to try and suplex in. Draku jumps in, so does Kisei.
Violet
They've
dies.
made one go to the afterlife. That is Violet, the pick target they want. He doesn't have claims, he doesn't have flash, he might just fall on down. Kisei dead, it doesn't matter. 3 kills found here by Peace. It is Requiem the difference maker. It finds one. Emboma untouched, full HP, and hoping to find an avenue